What's good, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well. Look, today's gonna be a new reaction. I'm reacting to how the Gucci gang ended the Hennessy gang. This is something new, so if you're new here, be sure to like, subscribe. I'm gonna be coming up with more of these videos. I had a look at the channel and they had like so many of these videos, so we have a lot to get through. So the first one is how the Gucci gang ended the Hennessy gang, and without further ado, let's get into the video.
It's just after 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve, 2023, at Brown's Steakhouse in Blanchardstown. Two men walk into the restaurant with pistols raised. Gunshots ring out, causing panic as diners scream and dive under tables for safety.
Not investing yet. Somebody's had to get whacked in front of me.
Place had to get shot up, lads.
In the middle of the chaos is Jason Hennessy, a senior member of the Hennessy gang. He is hit multiple times. One attacker, 26-year-old Gucci gang associate Tristan Sherry, moves closer holding a submachine gun, ready to finish Jason off. But the gun jams. Seeing an opening, some of Jason's men jump on Tristan, attacking him, while the second gunman escapes out the front door. When police arrive minutes later, Tristan is already dead, beaten and stabbed nearly 30 times. Nearby, Jason struggles to breathe, seriously injured from gunshots to his neck and chest. The attack at Brown's Steakhouse wasn't random. It was a planned hit in a gang war that has terrorized Dublin for years. But who was Jason Hennessy, and why was he targeted? Born in the mid-1970s and raised in the suburbs of Blanchardstown, he grew up in Cordoff, a working-class housing estate that by the 1980s had been hit hard by unemployment and an epidemic of heroin use. He was not always known as a notorious gangster. Unlike many of those around him, Jason didn't become seriously involved in crime until much later in life. In his youth, he was regarded as a promising boxer,
of course,
a talented young man
right?
who mostly stayed clear of serious trouble. He lived in an area closely linked with organized crime, particularly the infamous Westies gang, who controlled much of the drug trade throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s.
I don't know much about them, but yeah, that would be good to look into as well. That I think there's one of that as well.
Who controlled much of the drug trade throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. The Westies were ruthless criminals, feared across Dublin for their violent methods. But by 2004, their gang began to fall apart when their leaders, Shane Coates and Stephen Sugg, were murdered in Spain during a bloody gang war. Although Jason had family members and friends involved in the gangs that rose after the Westies fell, he personally avoided significant criminal activity. Despite living near prominent gang members, he maintained a relatively ordinary lifestyle for many years. He worked regular jobs, including as a truck driver, and generally avoided trouble with the law. By the time he reached his 30s, Jason had established himself as a significant underworld figure in Dublin 15. He married and started a family, eventually fathering several children, even as he deepened his involvement in crime. This dual life as family man and feared gangster would earn him a unique reputation in Cordoff. He opened a local business named Hulk Recovery, a vehicle towing and repair service, providing a veneer of legitimacy to his income. Neighbors would see his tow truck emblazoned with a green Incredible Hulk logo and think he was just a hard-working businessman. Those who crossed Jason Hennessy learned quickly that his pleasant public persona masked a vicious gangster. A low-level dealer who stole from him was allegedly found bloodied and broken one night, duct-taped to a lamppost as a warning. Such tales were hard to verify. None of his victims dared file official complaints, but they helped enhance Hennessy's fearsome reputation. By the 2010s, many younger criminals in West Dublin looked up to Hennessy as an almost untouchable figure. He had money, foot soldiers, and crucially, he had never been taken down by the law in any serious way. But as his profile rose, so too did the target on his back. A new generation of gangsters.
I'm sorry, I can't take veneers serious, man. Oh, yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, I get getting your teeth fixed and and all that, but like it gets to a point where you kind of have to say to yourself, what the heck, I just look like a Barbie. Because these veneers, the people that get veneers, it's just like, I don't know, I'm not going to go too into it, but yeah, it's not cool, man. It's not
emerging
cool.
From nearby
if you have veneers,
Finglas,
get rid of them.
And they had Hennessy's territory in their sights. By the late 2010s, people around Cardiff began referring to Jason as the boss or boss man, a nickname he embraced. If you wanted to deal drugs in Blanchardstown,
Bossman,
you either paid Hennessy a cut or faced consequences. Hennessy's crew, often referred to as the Hennessy Gang, was largely groomed to follow in his footsteps.
What was that?
His own sons were groomed to follow in his footsteps. As his boys grew into teenagers, Jason kept them close. By all appearances, he loved them and wanted them to have everything, except perhaps an honest living. Around this time, another figure was rising in West Dublin, a gang leader nicknamed Mr. Flashy. This younger gangster, real name insulated by the tabloids to avoid the possibility of contempt of court, ran a Finglas-based crew that was nicknamed the Gucci Gang, known for their designer clothes and luxury lifestyle. Unlike Hennessy's relatively local outfit, Mr. Flashy's gang had connections to the international Kinahan cartel and the remnants of the old Westies gang.
I need to watch videos on that as well.
In fact, Mr. Flashy's outfit was reportedly Kinahan aligned and essentially a revival of the Westies in Finglas. Inevitably, Hennessy's and Flashy's worlds collided. They were two crime bosses operating in overlapping territories, each with an eye on dominance of West Dublin's drug trade. Some say Hennessy even met with the Finglas gang leaders at one point to draw unofficial boundaries.
Look at them veneers, man. Like, they look obviously fake. Oh, man, it doesn't even look cool. Ah, jeez.
Blanchardstown would be Hennessy's turf, Finglas theirs. If such an underworld treaty ever existed, it did not last long. By 2017, tensions were simmering. In Cardiff, Hennessy's men reportedly roughed up a few of Mr. Flashy's low-level dealers who ventured into Blanchardstown. According to one unnamed source, Hennessy's side was throwing their weight around with a string of such beatings in 2018. It was the classic setup for a gangland feud. Two proud factions and one slice of territory not big enough for both. What came next would plunge West Dublin into violence on a scale not seen since the notorious Hutch-Kinahan feud on the other side of the city. Locals would come to know it as the Cardiff feud. Authorities, well aware of the brewing animosity, quietly feared that it was only a matter of time before the situation exploded. And explode it did. In February 2019, CCTV cameras in Cardiff captured a wild scene. Rival gunmen engaged in a broad daylight shootout on a residential street. Grainy video, later published by the Irish Mirror, showed young men ducking behind cars for cover as shots rang out in a quiet cul-de-sac. Amazingly, no one was hit, but bullet holes riddled the walls of nearby houses. As winter turned to spring, tit-for-tat attacks occurred with alarming frequency. Arson.
Okay, what are in their hands, man?
Tit-for-tat attacks occurred.
So one guy has a bike seat in his hand. Another guy has a bike seat in his hand.
With
the third guy has a fork. A fork in his hand. Where are they getting these from? Is this just like in the boots of their cars, or what's going on? Can someone tell me?
Frequency.
Where is this coming?
Beatings and drive-by shootings became almost routine in parts of Finglas and Blanchardstown. In March 2019, one faction targeted relatives of a rival. Two innocent women, believed to be girlfriends of gang members, were viciously beaten in an attack, leaving them bruised and traumatized.
Oh.
By that point, violence was flaring on an almost daily basis. The most audacious episode came on April 2nd, 2019.
Well, Gardaí are investigating a shooting outside a school in West Dublin this afternoon.
It's a school which has about 300 secondary school pupils, and they were in school here this afternoon. There were two men waiting outside here at the gate to collect a brother of one of the men when a gunman came up and fired several shots at them. Now, no one was injured, and the gunman escaped on foot across the road into the nearby Corduff estate. Now, there's a lot of Garda activity in there at the moment. Just behind us, the Gardaí are still searching, and they're carrying out searches in the Corduff estate at the moment. So far, there have been no arrests, but Gardaí believe that this is the latest incident in a series of gun attacks and escalating drugs and gun violence which has occurred in this area in the last 4 months. The Gardaí believe that the violence is connected to an ongoing feuds between criminal gangs in this area and also gangs that are based in Blanchardstown and in Finglas, and it's essentially over control of the drugs trade.
Authorities later recovered a loaded handgun stashed a few yards from the scene, which was allegedly linked to Mr. Flashy's gang. April 2019 continued to deliver mayhem. In one incident that month, the feud violence spilled into a Garda station.
A criminal who attacked a rival gang member with a machete in front of a Garda station 3 years ago in an ongoing feud between two criminal gangs in Finglas and Blanchardstown has been jailed.
No, how stupid do you have to be to flash a machete in front of the Garda station, the people that arrest you? Is that just me, or that's just really stupid, no?
For 3 years. Martin Cunningham of Warrenstown Drive in Mulhuddard pleaded guilty to assault causing harm. His victim, Kenneth Fitzsimons, refused to testify against him in the case.
Okay.
Cunningham told Fitzsimons he was going to chop him up before he knocked him to the ground and slashed him deeply in his arms, legs, neck and torso.
Damn.
Fitzsimons, however, managed to get up and run into the Garda station, where he bled on the floor of the reception area. He was operated on but recovered without further complications. Fitzsimons, who is currently in jail after he was caught with a gun, then refused to give evidence against Cunningham and said he wished to withdraw his complaint and drugs had affected his memory. Detective Sergeant Damien Mangan testified that Fitzsimons told the Gardaí that Cunningham was a bigger fool for pleading guilty to any charge and that he would have walked free if he had said nothing. The code of omerta, or silence among gangsters, and its impact on the criminal justice system is evident in today's case. With little evidence against Martin Cunningham, apart from the victim's testimony, the charge of attempted murder against him had to be dropped. Although he pleaded guilty to assault causing harm, the maximum sentence is 5 years in prison, and although Miss Justice Eileen Creedon sentenced him to 4 years with the final year suspended today, that sentence has now effectively been served.
It was said he was furious that his home had been shot at and his autistic younger brother put in danger during an earlier feud incident.
It's a nice haircut.
In May 2019, just after midnight on a quiet street, thugs firebombed a house belonging to someone connected to the feud. They smashed the windows with hammers, doused the interior with petrol, and set the home ablaze. Flames engulfed the property within minutes. 2 men inside jumped from an upstairs window to escape the fire, barely cheating death as the building was gutted. By the summer of 2019, the Corduff feud had transformed parts of West Dublin into a conflict zone. Houses were being shot at and torched. Gang members were stalking each other in broad daylight.
I didn't know it was this
Innocent
bad.
family members were sucked into the violence. Garda patrols in Blanchardstown and Finglas.
Okay, this AI voice is gonna keep pissing me off. What the heck is Blanchardstown, man? Let me hear it again.
To the violence. Garda patrols in Blanchardstown and Finglas increased dramatically, and armed detective units carried out raids to seize weapons. But the flow of arms kept coming, largely thanks to Mr. Flashy's pipeline to the Kinahan cartel. A Garda surveillance operation even found that Irish military grenades had been sourced by gangsters. Amid this chaos, Jason Hennessy managed to avoid personal harm. Garda intelligence indicated Hennessy was very much in the crosshairs. By late 2019, Things had calmed slightly, but the feud was far from over. As the feud dragged on into 2020 and 2021, a stalemate took hold. It wasn't peace, more a tense ceasefire punctuated by low-level skirmishes. There were still beatings and petrol bomb attacks here and there, but nothing like the frenzy of 2019. Jason used this period to shore up his organization. He tightened his inner circle, leaning more on family members whom he felt he could trust with his life. Chief among these were his 3 sons, Jason Jr., Devon, and Brandon Hennessy. The older 2 were in their mid-20s, while Brandon was still a teenager, but all 3 had grown up around their father's criminal enterprise. By 2020, they were acting as his trusted muscle. Evidence of the sons' involvement surfaced in January 2021, when authorities conducted a surveillance operation near the Technological University Dublin campus in Blanchardstown. Acting on a tip, officers watched as an off-road motorbike drove onto some open ground by a sports field at dusk. 2 figures, one of them identified as Brandon Hennessy, then only 17, dismounted with shovels and a large package wrapped in plastic. As one began to dig, the other stood guard. The police moved in, catching the pair red-handed, attempting to bury a stash of drugs with an estimated street value of over €32,000. Brandon tried to sprint away through the darkness, but officers chased him down and arrested him in a nearby cemetery. Later, in January 2025, when Brandon eventually appeared in court for the drug stash, he pled guilty. The judge noted that Brandon had no prior serious convictions, was very young, and had recently endured the trauma of seeing his father shot in front of him. The judge gave Brandon a suspended 3-year sentence, essentially sparing him prison on the condition of good behavior. Through 2021 and 2022, the feud was still alive. Sporadic shootings at houses and attacks kept occurring, though at a reduced pace. But both gangs were feeling the pressure of constant Garda monitoring. Each major incident brought a wave of arrests. It became costly and risky to keep up the cycle of violence. Some in Dublin's underworld speculated that Hennessy and Mr. Flashy had reached an unspoken truce by 2022. Behind the scenes, however, tensions and grudges festered. It was in this charged environment that an extraordinary Garda operation took place in mid-2023. Acting on intelligence of an impending hit, officers intercepted a car in Dublin's north side and discovered a loaded revolver inside. They believed they had just foiled a planned assassination attempt against associates of Jason Hennessy Sr. Still, Jason Hennessy Sr. was defiant. He wasn't going to run or hide from a rival on his own turf.
I thought he was shot.
In the months before Christmas 2023, he appeared to carry on life normally. He continued to run Hulk Recovery and to spend time at his regular spots in West Dublin. He had survived 5 years of feud-induced chaos and was still standing. As Christmas approached, he made plans to celebrate in style. On Christmas Eve, he organized a private party at Brown's Steakhouse in Blanchardstown.
This is where it all goes
at 8
wrong.
p.m., as the Christmas Eve dinner was in full swing, 2 gunmen armed with handguns and a submachine pistol stormed into Brown's Steakhouse. Witnesses described one attacker, later identified as Tristan Sherry, spraying bullets indiscriminately across the dining area. Patrons dived under tables amid screams. Hennessy Sr., sitting at the center of his party's long table, was the primary target. Sherry advanced toward him, firing. Bullets tore into Jason's upper body. One struck his neck, another his torso. According to some accounts from that night, Hennessy had actually stood up and tried to confront the gunman when the shooting began, perhaps attempting to disarm him or shield others when he was gunned down. The truth of that moment is known only to those who were there. Several of Hennessy's associates fought back. They tackled Tristan Sherry after he momentarily paused, likely due to his weapon jamming. The second gunman, who has never been publicly identified, fled out the front entrance. Sherry, left alone and now overpowered by a mob of Hennessy's men, met a gruesome fate. He was dragged to the ground and beaten to death within moments.
Jeez.
Sherry was stabbed again and again with steak knives grabbed from tables and was bludgeoned with whatever items came to hand. By the end, Sherry had sustained 27 stab wounds to his chest and trunk and fatal blunt force trauma to the head.
Bro, that's 27 times going up and down, stabbing someone. What? Nah, in this life, some people don't have hearts. Wait. 27 times? So this guy didn't stop the first time. Didn't stop the second time. Or the third time. Just kept going. No
Officers
heart,
found Sherry's mangled corpse on the floor and the infamous gang boss, Jason Hennessy, barely clinging to life. Medics fought to stabilize Hennessy on the scene.
How's Jason still alive?
He was still alive, but just
shot
barely.
in the neck and
Hennessy was loaded into an ambulance and rushed to hospital under armed police escort. He was placed on life support and, due to the severity of his wounds, later transferred to the Mater Hospital in the city for specialized care. Back at the steakhouse, detectives began gathering evidence. The Garda press office would later confirm it was connected to the Corduff feud. Jason Hennessy Sr. clung to life for nearly 2 weeks. Despite multiple surgeries, the damage from the gunshots, particularly the wound to his neck, proved too great. He was pronounced dead on January 5th, 2024, at age 47. The official cause: gunshot injuries to the neck and upper torso. With that, Jason Sr., the crime boss of Corduff, was now counted among the fallen in Ireland's gangland wars. The Garda now had 2 parallel cases, one for the shooting of Jason Hennessy Sr. and one for the beating death of Tristan Sherry. The investigation into Hennessy's murder focused on identifying the second gunman and any masterminds behind the plot. Given the circumstances, suspicion fell on the opposing faction,
the Gucci gang.
Essentially associates of Mr. Flashy's gang.
Mr. Flashy, sorry.
There were rumors that Sherry and the other hitman had been paid or coerced to carry out the attack, possibly as part of a larger plan by Flashy's crew. However, in the immediate aftermath, no arrests were made in relation to Hennessy's shooting. The second gunman had vanished. For the time being, the murder of Jason Hennessy Sr. remained officially unsolved. The case of Tristan Sherry's death, on the other hand, produced swift arrests and would move rapidly through Ireland's justice system. The steakhouse was full of witnesses and CCTV, and many of the attackers were identified on the spot by responding officers. In the chaotic scene, several of Hennessy's associates, those who had stomped and stabbed Sherry, were themselves injured, cut by flying glass, and were treated, then promptly taken into custody that same night. Within days, at least 7 suspects were in custody related to Sherry's killing. Among them were 3 teenagers and several men in their 20s from the Corduff area. Notably, Hennessy's youngest son, Brandon, was arrested and later charged, not with murder, but with violent disorder for his role in the melee. Video evidence clearly showed Brandon striking Sherry, albeit with a lightweight dustpan, after the gunman had been disarmed. Others detained included Michael Andricut, Noah Musweni, and David Amar.
I thought there wouldn't be any. Okay. Not gonna say anything.
Who were believed to have delivered the most severe blows to Sherry. Another suspect, Wayne, delivered the Andricut, Noah Musweni, and David Amar, who were believed to have delivered the most severe blows to Sherry. Another suspect, Wayne Deegan, was also charged later, bringing the total accused of direct involvement in Sherry's death to 8. Given the gangland nature of the incident, the trials were slated for the Special Criminal Court, Ireland's non-jury court for organised crime, to mitigate any risk of jury intimidation. The court heard that Andricut stabbed Sherry multiple times with a knife, beat him with an iron bar, and even paused to take a photograph of Sherry as he lay dying. Ama, only 17 at the time of the incident, was seen stomping on Sherry and wielding a chair to strike him. The sheer ferocity captured on video left little doubt as to intent. The defense lawyers argued for a manslaughter verdict, claiming their clients had acted in provocation.
The second guy.
That the sudden shock of witnessing Hennessy's shooting caused them to temporarily lose self-control. But the prosecution countered that what followed was not a momentary, uncontrollable outburst, but a calculated, sustained assault. The special criminal court judges concurred. In February 2025, in a unanimous judgment, the court found Andrekut, Musweni, and Amma guilty of the murder of Tristan Sherry. Brandon Hennessy, Jonas Kabangu were convicted of the lesser charge of violent disorder for their involvement. While the courts worked through these cases, the Hennessy gang as a unit began to crumble. Without Jason at the top, his crew had lost its unifying force. His eldest sons, Jason Jr. and Devon, tried to assert control, but they were now under intense Garda surveillance. In fact, law enforcement swiftly took the opportunity to mop up remaining elements of the gang. Just weeks after Hennessy's death, in January 2024, Garda scored a major victory against his outfit by seizing 2 revolvers and €33,000 worth of drugs from a hidden arms stash in West Dublin. The raid, carried out on a patch of wasteland in Blanchardstown, was described in the media as a huge blow to the remaining Hennessy associates. On the streets of Cardiff and Finglas, the atmosphere following Jason's death was tense. There were certainly murmurings of attempts to avenge him. The Irish Sun reported that Hennessy's allies were scouring social media photos to identify anyone linked to Tristan Sherry, potentially marking them for attack. But overt revenge from Hennessy's side never materialized in a major way, likely because most of those capable of it were now behind bars or under scrutiny. In mid-January 2024, authorities anticipated the funeral could be a flashpoint for further violence or a target for a possible attack. Armed officers patrolled discreetly, scanning for any sign of trouble or unwanted guests. The funeral itself was a spectacle steeped in the kind of gangland theatre that Dublin has seen in other high-profile gangster send-offs.
Look at that, man. Must have been expensive. This guy got a Hulk casket with the boss man written on it. Guessing that's gold as well. That's crazy. Oh, man. Hey, nothing good comes out of being part of a gang, man. I'm telling you. Nothing good comes out of it.
The Hennessy family organized an Incredible Hulk-themed cortege to honor Jason's nickname and business brand. His coffin was custom-made, painted a bright green with the image of the Hulk's fist and emblazoned with the words, "The Boss Man," along the side. The Hennessy gang effectively fell apart in the months that followed. Jason Jr., Devon, and Brandon Hennessy soon found themselves entangled in serious charges of their own. A major Garda operation culminated in the arrest of all 3 brothers and 2 other associates for an alleged kidnapping and plot. Prosecutors alleged that the Hennessy brothers had participated in the imprisonment and torture of a man over a dispute. The victim was allegedly beaten, branded with a hot cattle iron, and threatened with at a house in West Dublin. The Hennessy brothers, along with their older accomplices, were all charged in connection with this incident when the victim escaped and authorities intervened.
Wow. What have we learned today, class? We've learned that, look, it all catches up to you. Yeah? Don't join a gang. Don't participate in any gang activity. If you do get peer pressured by friends, no matter how down bad you are, don't do it. You'll end up dead in a coffin. Don't do it. I want to look at the comments, actually. I'm going to look at a few comments. Okay, well, keep these coming. I'm going to react to more of these as well. Awesome content. Okay. Any comments relating to the actual video? The Kenneth Fitz lad is a real one. We're not testifying. Okay, yeah, I seen that earlier. You should make a podcast of these and put them on Spotify. There is a podcast of like, I think it's more of a I think it's more of a hacking podcast where they just talk about hackers that have hacked into systems and like how it became national news or international news, sorry. I don't know what it's called, but I'll look at them videos as well because they're interesting too. The bystanders didn't sound terrified while they were filming. Yeah, because it was set up. It was a private event, a private Christmas party, I believe, right? Okay. Definitely some rodent genetics in these lads. Hey, no comment. I'm not a gang member. All I'm gonna say is stop the violence. We don't need the violence. What happened at 124?
Blanchardstown. He grew up in Cardiff, a working...
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, the video's in reverse.
And raised in the suburbs of Blanchardstown.
I did not realize that.
He grew up in Cardiff, a working class...
Nah, I think that's enough. I'm losing brain cells at the moment. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Look, don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys. Give me recommendations, actually. Give me recommendations of what to react to. And I'll see if I can react to that. And yeah, thank you guys for staying tuned with me. Whoever reached the end of this video, you're a real one. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Take it easy.